Christian Horner has once again become one of the biggest names on the Formula One market. And this time, the attention has nothing to do with a driver transfer. It has been almost a year since one of the most successful team principals in Formula One history was removed from Red Bull. That decision came in July 2025, shortly after the British Grand Prix, with this year's race weekend now just around the corner. Since then, the man who helped build Red Bull into one of Formula One's most dominant teams has remained out of the paddock. But in Formula One, silence rarely lasts for long. Speculation surrounding Horner's future is growing again, and there are now fresh developments that could shape the next chapter of his career. A major story is unfolding behind the scenes. Aston Martin has reportedly made a second attempt to bring Christian Horner in to lead the team. This appears to be far more than simple paddock speculation. It's being described as a serious move by Lawrence Stroll as he looks to completely reshape the future of Aston Martin. The situation involves more than just a potential job offer. Questions remain over why Aston Martin's first attempt to sign Horner didn't succeed, what other opportunities are available to him, and why his eventual return could shift the balance of power across Formula One. Looking at Horner's current position, his departure from Red Bull in September 2025 came with a substantial severance agreement. The BBC reported the package was worth around £52 million, while other reports suggested the total value could have reached as much as $100 million. However, the financial payout wasn't the most significant part of the agreement. More importantly, Horner is free to return to Formula One in 2026 without any restrictions. There is no non-compete clause preventing him from joining another team, meaning he could step into a team principal role whenever the right opportunity appears. That brings the focus directly to Aston Martin. The Silverstone-based team is enduring a difficult season. Despite the enormous financial backing provided by owner Lawrence Stroll, Aston Martin's 2026 campaign has fallen well below expectations. Across the opening 8 races of the season, the team has scored just a single World Championship point. That lone point came courtesy of Fernando Alonso's 10th place finish in Monaco. Lance Stroll has failed to finish 5 of his 7 races, while Alonso has retired 4 times. The problems go well beyond outright pace. The car has struggled with reliability and has proven extremely difficult for both drivers to handle. Alonso even described the 2026 generation of Formula One cars as the worst he has ever driven. Lawrence Stroll has invested heavily in turning Aston Martin into a championship contender. The team now operates from a state-of-the-art factory, has secured a works engine partnership with Honda, and has recruited some of Formula One's top engineering talent. Despite all of those investments, the results simply haven't followed. And in Formula One, when performances fail to meet expectations, the pressure usually falls on the team principal. Andy Cowell currently holds that position at Aston Martin. However, according to a recent report from the Daily Mail, Lawrence Stroll has personally approached Christian Horner about taking over the role. What makes this development even more significant is that this isn't the first time Stroll has tried to bring Horner to Aston Martin. According to recent reports, Lawrence Stroll was already pushing hard to bring Christian Horner to Aston Martin earlier this year. The two sides were reportedly close to reaching an agreement before negotiations collapsed at the final stage. The exact reason the deal fell apart has never been revealed. However, when someone like Christian Horner is involved, the biggest issue often comes down to control. During his time at Red Bull, Horner operated with complete authority, serving as both CEO and team principal, while having the final say on the team's biggest decisions. Aston Martin operates differently. Lawrence Stroll is known for taking a very hands-on approach as team owner, so it's possible Horner wanted a level of control that Stroll wasn't prepared to hand over. But circumstances can change. With Aston Martin struggling near the back of the grid and finding itself battling teams like Cadillac instead of competing with Mercedes and Ferrari, reports suggest Stroll has returned with a second attempt to convince Horner to join the project. When GP Blog contacted Aston Martin for a response, the team stuck to its usual position, saying, "In line with our policy, we do not comment on rumors or speculation." Interestingly though, Aston Martin team principal Andy Cowell stopped short of completely dismissing the possibility of Horner joining the organization in some capacity. If Horner were to make the move, it would reunite him with Adrian Newey, the legendary designer who spent nearly 2 decades working alongside him during Red Bull's rise to dominance. Newey has recently dealt with health issues that have caused him to miss several race weekends. Should his health improve, Horner's arrival could provide the leadership and organizational structure Aston Martin has been searching for. allowing Newey to focus primarily on the technical side of the project. Of course, Aston Martin isn't the only team reportedly interested in Horner. Several other opportunities have also been linked to the former Red Bull boss. One of the strongest rumors has involved Alpine. The French outfit is going through another period of restructuring, while investment firm Otro Capital is reportedly willing to sell its 24% stake in the team. Alpine advisor Flavio Briatore has also indicated that he would be open to working with Horner. However, Renault, which owns Alpine, quickly cooled those rumors. In early June, the company released a statement confirming that no discussions with Horner were taking place. So while certain investors may be interested in bringing him in, Renault's leadership appears far less convinced. Ferrari has also emerged as another possible destination. According to the Daily Mail, former Formula One chief Bernie Ecclestone has been working behind the scenes in an effort to help place Horner at Maranello. Ecclestone and Horner have shared a close relationship for years, and the former F1 boss continues to carry significant influence throughout the sport. Despite those reports, nothing concrete has developed so far. Ferrari appears committed to its current leadership structure under team principal Fred Vasseur. Then there's perhaps the most unexpected possibility of all, building something entirely new. Strong reports have suggested that Horner has held exploratory discussions with BYD, the Chinese electric vehicle giant, about the possibility of launching a brand new Formula One project. BYD is looking to strengthen its global presence, and Formula One represents one of the biggest marketing platforms in world sport. If the company decides to enter Formula One, bringing in Christian Horner to build the project from the ground up would be a logical choice. After all, he successfully led Red Bull's transformation after joining the team in 2005. The challenge, however, is timing. Building a brand new Formula One team is a long-term project. Even if an agreement were reached today, a BYD-backed entry would be unlikely to appear on the grid before 2028. Horner has previously spoken about feeling that he still has unfinished business in Formula One. That raises an important question. Is he prepared to wait another 2 or 3 years before returning to the pit wall? While weighing up his options in Formula One, Horner has already taken his first step back into the business world. In early June, it was announced that he had joined the London-based private equity firm Oakley Capital as an advisor. The move suggests Horner is keeping active while expanding his network beyond motorsport. Even so, Formula One still appears to be the place where his experience is most valuable, and Aston Martin currently offers the clearest and fastest route back to the paddock. The timing also makes sense. For Aston Martin, the 2026 season has effectively become a write-off, making 2027 and the years beyond the team's primary focus. If Horner were to arrive now, he would have an entire season to assess the organization, restructure key departments, and establish a long-term strategy before the next phase of the regulations fully takes shape. That would give him the opportunity to introduce his own systems without the immediate pressure of fighting for race wins or championships straight away. Horner's track record speaks for itself. He understands how to build a winning culture, manage high-profile personalities, navigate the political landscape of Formula One, and lead a team capable of consistently competing for championships. Aston Martin already possesses many of the ingredients needed for success. The team has significant financial backing, a state-of-the-art wind tunnel, a brand new simulator, and an exclusive works engine partnership with Honda. What still appears to be missing is the operational efficiency and championship mentality required to compete consistently at the very front of the grid. Too often, the team has looked like a midfield operation with greater financial resources, struggling with strategy, and failing to develop the car effectively throughout the season. Those are exactly the kinds of challenges Horner has overcome before. He has already proven that he can transform a midfield team into a championship-winning organization. The biggest uncertainty is whether Lawrence Stroll would be willing to give Horner the authority he would likely demand. If Stroll continues to closely manage every aspect of the team, there's every chance Horner would once again decide to walk away. On the other hand, if Stroll hands Horner full control of the project, Aston Martin could finally become the front-running team it has spent years trying to build. There's also a personal dimension to the story. After being dismissed by Red Bull, Horner would undoubtedly have extra motivation to prove that the team made the wrong decision. There would be no stronger statement than leading another organization to the front and eventually defeating Red Bull on track. The coming weeks could prove decisive. Formula One's summer break has traditionally been the period when major management changes are announced. and if Aston Martin intends to make a move, acting sooner rather than later would allow a new team principal to begin preparations for the 2027 campaign. Christian Horner remains one of the most divisive figures in Formula One. Opinions on him may differ, but his ability to lead and build successful teams is difficult to question. One thing is certain: whenever Horner's name enters the conversation, Formula One becomes even more compelling. Whether Aston Martin ultimately secures his signature now remains the biggest question.